today's class we will revise another important chapter of chemistry, that is synthetic fibers and plastics. Okay. See, in our day-to-day life we use many materials which are made up of fabrics. For example, clothes we wear, they are made up of fabrics. Similarly, blankets we use, they are made up of fabrics. Similarly, sweaters we use, they are made up of fabrics. See, generally fabrics, they are made up of fibers. Okay. So what is a fiber? Fiber is a thin, elongated, thread-like structure Fiber is a thin, elongated, thread-like structure, and normally it possesses elasticity. Okay, so that type of thing we call as fiber. So fabrics, they are made up of fibers. See, many materials we use in our day-to-day life, they are made up of fibers. For example, silk cloth, cotton cloth, then toothbrush bristles, then socks, ropes. They are all made up of fibers. Parachute. Okay, so in our day-to-day life we use many materials which are made up of fibers. See, some materials, they are made up of natural fibers. For example, if you take cotton, silk, wool, jute. See, from these materials it is possible to get fibers, and those fibers, they are called as natural fibers. Okay, so natural fibers, they are available in nature. Similarly, many of other materials we use in our day-to-day life, they are actually made up of synthetic fibers. For example, nylon, rayon, then polyester, acrylic. They are all examples for synthetic fibers. Why they are called synthetic fibers? Because they are not available in nature, but they are artificially made, man-made fibers. Okay, so fibers can be classified into two types: natural fibers, synthetic fibers. So fibers which are found in nature, they are natural fibers. Examples for natural fibers: cotton, silk, wool, jute. Similarly, the fibers which are artificially prepared, they are synthetic fibers or man-made fibers. Example for such fibers: nylon, rayon, polyester and acrylic. Okay, So whether it is a natural fiber or synthetic fiber, chemically fiber is made up of what? That is the question. So what is the chemical composition of a fiber? See, in order to understand the chemical composition of fiber, let us take an example. I think all of you have seen a necklace which is made up of beads. So if you go on joining beads by using a thread, we get a necklace. So there, beads, they are joined with one another to form a long chain. Similarly, all of you have seen paper clips. For example, this is the thread, and if I go on joining the beads, I get a necklace of beads, and that necklace of beads contains, that is, many smaller units. Similarly, if you take paper clips, if you go on joining paper clips to one another, we get a long chain of paper clips. Similarly, construction of a wall. So if you observe a wall, it appears to be a single structure. But how that wall is constructed? That wall is constructed by using bricks. Okay? So, if you take chemical composition of any fiber, natural fiber or synthetic fiber, it is made up of repeated union of small units. So a fiber is made up of repeated union of small units. So the thing which is obtained by repeated union of small units, chemically it is called as polymer. Important term. So what is a polymer? Polymer is a giant molecule formed by the repeated union of small units called monomers. So a polymer is a big molecule, a giant molecule which is formed by the repeated joining of small units called monomers. For example, if you take the necklace, there beads are the smaller units. So we can call beads as monomers from which that necklace is obtained. So that necklace, the entire unit can be called as polymer. Similarly, paper clips, if you go on joining, we get a long chain. So each paper clip is a monomer. So when it is joined in repeated fashion, we get a long chain, a big molecule, and that can be called as polymer. Similarly, wall can be considered as polymer. It is a big structure which is formed by the repeated union of bricks. So bricks are the monomers. So generally, if you take chemical composition of any fiber, it can be called as a polymer. So fiber is a polymer which is formed by the repeated union of small units called monomers. Okay, so what is a monomer? Monomer is the small unit which build up the polymer molecule. Okay, so monomer, it is a small unit which on repeated union gives up, that is bigger structure, what is known as polymer. Okay, so generally fibers are polymers. Actually the term polymer, it is a combination of two words. Poly means many and mer means repeating unit. So what is the literary meaning of polymer? Polymer is a substance containing many repeating units. Poly means many, mer means repeating unit. Okay. So again, polymers, they are of two types. Natural polymers. So polymers which are found in nature. For example, cellulose. So cotton contains cellulose. Okay. So cellulose is a polymer. I think in biology you have studied about that. The cell wall is made up of, that is a complex structure called cellulose. Actually cellulose contains many smaller units called glucose. So the smaller units which are found in cellulose, it is glucose. So many glucose units, when they undergo, that is repeated union, it gives rise to a complex structure called cellulose, so which can be called as, that is polymer. So it's an example for natural polymer. Similarly, proteins, they are also example for natural polymers. Proteins, they are made up of smaller molecules called amino acids. So when amino acid molecules, when they combine with one another, it results in the formation of complex structures called proteins. So they are also example for polymers. Similarly, nucleic acids. So you know that in biology you have studied that cell contains nucleus, and inside the nucleus genetic material is present. And what is the genetic material that is found in, that is plant cell and animal cell? It is DNA or RNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, ribonucleic acid. They are also examples for, that is polymers. Suppose if you take DNA, it is made up of many smaller units called nucleotides. So DNA is an example for polynucleotide. So each nucleotide contains a sugar unit, then a phosphate unit. So if you take any nucleotide unit, it contains a sugar unit and a phosphate unit, and in addition to that, that is one more unit will be present. So all of them combined together is called as nucleotide. Okay. So if you take DNA, it is made up of, that is, nucleotide units. So it is also example for natural polymers. Similarly, synthetic polymers. That is man-made polymers. So which are the examples for man-made polymers? All synthetic fibers and plastics. They are examples for, that is, synthetic polymers or man-made polymers. For example, nylon, synthetic polymer, then polyester, synthetic polymer, then acrylic, synthetic polymer, plastics. Okay, so if you take plastics into consideration, polythene, PVC, okay, bakelite, melamine. Okay, so synthetic fibers and plastics, they are examples for synthetic polymers. In particular, nylon, polyester, acrylic, they are examples for synthetic fibers. Polythene, PVC, bakelite and melamine, they are examples for plastics. Both are, that is, synthetic polymers. So polymers, they are classified into two types: natural polymers, which are found in nature, cellulose, proteins, nucleic acids, and in nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. So DNA contain nucleotide units, many nucleotide units, sugar, phosphate, and one more is nitrogen base. So those three together, it is known as nucleotide unit. So many nucleotide units are present in DNA and RNA. Okay. Similarly, when we come to synthetic polymers, that is synthetic fibers and plastics, they are the examples. Okay. So first we will discuss about synthetic fibers. See, today we are using more number of synthetic fibers than natural fibers. So there are many advantages of synthetic fibers over natural fibers, and as a result we are using more synthetic fibers than natural fibers. So what reasons we can give? One reason is, for the formation of natural fibers, long time is required. Okay. Whereas synthetic fibers, they can be prepared, that is, immediately through chemical reactions. And similarly, that is, synthetic fibers, they are, that is, more durable. Durability of synthetic fibers is more, and their properties can be altered easily. So properties of synthetic fibers can be altered easily compared to natural fibers. Okay. So because of all these advantages, nowadays we are using more synthetic fibers than natural fibers. So let us discuss in detail about some important synthetic fibers that we are using in our day-to-day life. So when actually people started using, that is, fibers, that is the question. See, for the first time, that is, people of China, they started using, that is, fiber which is obtained from silkworm, that is, silk. So silk was the natural fiber which was used to prepare, that is, fabrics, that is, clothes, and that was invented by people of China, and they kept how to get that fiber from silkworm as a secret. So they don't reveal that secret to the people of other countries. But as the time passed, that is, scientists they started, that is, obtaining natural fibers from different sources, like silk was obtained from silkworm, then cellulose was obtained from cotton, and similarly other fibers they were obtained from materials like jute, hemp. So from these, that is, scientists they started getting fibers, and those fibers they were used mainly to prepare clothes of different varieties. But as we know that there are some disadvantages in using natural fibers. So in order to overcome those disadvantages, scientists they started thinking of, that is, preparing alternative to natural fibers. Okay, so one such fiber was prepared towards the end of 19th century, and that fiber was given the name rayon. Okay, so towards the end of 19th century, we can say the first man-made fiber was prepared. So it is not exclusively synthetic, it is semi-synthetic. It is semi-synthetic fiber. Why actually rayon was called as semi-synthetic fiber? Because the natural, that means the raw material which is required to prepare rayon, it is wood pulp. So by actually using certain chemicals, and by reacting those chemicals with wood pulp, they obtained a fiber which was almost similar to silk. So appearance and properties of this fiber, it was almost similar to silk. That's why rayon, it was also called as artificial silk. See, silk clothes, they are costly because silk fiber, it is costlier. But towards the end of 19th century, by reacting certain chemicals with wood pulp, since wood pulp is a natural source, that is, it is not completely synthetic, we can say it is semi-synthetic. Okay, so by reacting chemicals with wood pulp, they obtained a fiber and they called that fiber as rayon, and rayon is also known as artificial silk. So the fibers of rayon can be used to make, that is, clothes, and clothes they resemble same as silk clothes. That's why rayon fiber was also known as artificial silk. And this rayon fiber, it was mixed with cotton to prepare blankets. So by mixing rayon and cotton, we can get a new type of material which can be used to prepare blankets. And similarly, carpets can be prepared by combining rayon and wool. Okay, so rayon, it was known as artificial silk, and mainly it was used to prepare blankets and carpets. So blankets were prepared by combining rayon and cotton, and carpets were prepared by combining rayon and wool. Cotton and wool, they are naturally occurring, that is, materials, and they are also used along with rayon to prepare, that is, some important materials that are useful in our day-to-day life. So this is how, that is, scientists, they started preparing artificial fibers, that is alternative to natural fibers. So remember about rayon. See, after rayon, the first completely synthetic fiber, it was prepared in the year 1931, and that fiber, it was called as nylon. So nylon was prepared in the year 1931 and it is purely synthetic. No natural, that is raw material, was used in the preparation of, that is nylon. See, why this fiber was given the name nylon? Because in 1931 it was prepared in two big cities at a time. One is New York and another is London. So in 1931, this fiber, it was prepared in two big cities, New York and nylon. So they took NY from New York and LON from London, and they gave the name nylon for that fiber. So what raw material was actually used for the preparation of nylon? See, all synthetic material, the synthetic fibers, they are prepared from petrochemicals. So what are petrochemicals? Petrochemicals, they are chemical substances which are obtained from coal and petroleum. So chemical substances which are obtained from coal and petroleum, they are called as petrochemicals, and they are the raw materials which are used in the preparation of all synthetic fibers and plastics. So in order to prepare nylon, that is, we require petrochemicals. In particular, what chemicals are used to prepare nylon, that you will study when you come to, that is, higher classes, that is PU level. But now you just remember, petrochemicals are the raw materials which are used in the preparation of all synthetic fibers and plastics. So it was the first, that is, man-made fiber which was prepared in the year 1931 in two big cities, New York and London. And we know that nylon fiber, it is used to make many materials that we use in our day-to-day life. For example, ropes, they are made up of nylon fiber. Then cloths, they are made up of nylon fiber. Toothbrush bristles, they are made up of nylon fibers. Socks, they are made up of nylon fibers. Then seat belts, they are made up of nylon fiber. Tents, they are made up of nylon fibers. Okay, and similarly, rock climbers, they use rope, and that rope is actually made up of nylon fiber. Similarly, parachutes, they are also made by using nylon. See, nylon fibers, they are stronger than steel wire. So you can imagine, that is, to climb rocks, the rope used, it is made by nylon. By that only you can say it is very strong. Similarly, parachutes, they are also prepared by using nylon. There are the two examples to say that nylon fiber, it is strong and tough. It is stronger than a steel wire. It will not break up very easily. It is having very high tensile strength. See, because of that, nylon fiber, it was used to make many materials that are useful in our day-to-day life. Okay. So after nylon, that is one more important synthetic fiber was prepared, that is polyester. See, name itself says it is a polymer of ester. So polyester contains many ester units joined with one another to give polyester. Okay. So what is actually ester? Esters, they are organic compounds which are normally found in fruits. Okay. See, normally the flavor. See, now that is, we use many synthetic flavors, and all those synthetic flavors, they are actually esters only. Okay. So flavors of flowers, flavors of fruits, flavors of vegetables. See, for that flavor, a compound will be responsible, and that compound is called as ester. So it gives, that is, a fruity smell to that substance. And such small unit, when it is joined in repeated fashion, it gives rise to, that is, a long thread-like structure which is called as polyester. Okay. So polyester is another important synthetic fiber which was prepared, that is, after nylon. See, like nylon, polyester, it is also used to make cloths. Okay. I think you might have heard about polyester cloth, and similarly you might have heard about terylene cloth. Okay. So polyester and terylene, they are one and the same, which are mainly used to prepare fabrics. That is, in textile industries, polyester and terylene cloths are mainly prepared. See, compared to nylon, what is the advantage of terylene or polyester? See, terylene or polyester, it will not get wrinkled easily. So wrinkle-free cloth, what we purchase from shops, actually it is made from polyester or terylene. Wrinkle-free, ಸುಕ್ಕಿಡಿಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಬೇಗ. ಅದೇ ನೈಲಾನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಾದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸುಕ್ಕು ಆಗಬಹುದು. But polyester or terylene cloths, they will not get wrinkled very easily, and then they dry up very quickly, and they will not, that is, absorb more amount of water like cotton cloths. They are all the advantages. So they dry up very fastly, so ironing will be easy because there will be no wrinkles at all, and then that means that is, they are very easy to wash also. So washing, that means process, is also very easy in case of, that is, cloths which are prepared from synthetic fibers. Okay. So terylene is one form of polyester which is used for making cloths. Similarly, polyester, it is mixed with cotton to get a new type of, that is, fiber which is called as polycot, which can also be used in making cloths. Similarly, polyester, when it is mixed with wool, it is called as polywool, and that can also be used for making, that is, cloths of different characteristics. So polycot, polywool, terylene, polyester, that is independently, they are all used, that is, to make cloths of different varieties, and all of them have their own characteristic properties. Okay, so this is one use of polyester. And similarly, you might have heard about PET bottles. Okay, normally when you go to, that is, shopping malls, there normally bottles will be purchased for, that is, storing water and other materials. In kitchen we come across, that is, plastic bottles for storing different types of materials, and normally there we come across PET bottles. So what is actually PET bot, that is PET, full form of PET? It is also a type of, that is, polyester. So full form of that is PET is polythene terephthalate. Okay, polythene terephthalate. It is abbreviated as PET. PET. So full form is polythene terephthalate, and which is mainly used to make bottles and other containers for storing different types of materials. So terephthalate and PET, they are the two popular forms of polyester. Okay, and similarly, one more important fiber, it is acrylic. So what is actually acrylic? So now it is actually winter season. So during winter season, normally we use sweaters, shawls, then blankets, which can reduce cold. Okay, then caps, which can actually reduce cold. Such material cloths we use in winter. See, normally sweaters, shawls or blankets or caps, they are prepared from the fibers which are obtained from wool. See, normally natural fibers are obtained from either plant or animal origin. So wool is obtained from different animals. So this wool, it can be woven into, that is, fibers, and those fibers, they can be used to make cloths of different types. And one of the advantage of woolen cloth, it is they keep the body warm. They prevent, that is, cold. But what is the disadvantage of using materials which are made from natural wool? They are very costly. So cost of, that is, woolen materials, that are natural woolen materials, it is very costly. So nowadays, alternative to natural wool, it has been prepared, and that alternative to natural wool which is prepared, it is called as acrylic. So acrylic is nothing but artificial wool, and its properties are similar as, that is, natural wool only. But what is the difference? That is, materials which are prepared from acrylic, they are cheaper compared to natural woolen materials. Okay, so acrylic, it is artificial woolen fabric which is used to prepare, that is, number of materials normally which are used in winter season, normally which are used for, that is, reducing cold, for preventing cold. Okay, so this is one more important synthetic fiber. Okay, see, now we have discussed that synthetic fibers, they are more advantageous than natural fibers. So what are the advantages of synthetic fibers over natural fibers? Synthetic fibers can be prepared easily as and when required. They can be prepared in any amount. So required amount of synthetic fibers can be prepared through chemical reactions. And then they are lightweight. Then their durability is more. Then they do not wrinkle. They dry up easily. They do not hold much water. So these are all the advantages of natural fibers over, that means synthetic fibers over natural fibers. But there is one disadvantage of synthetic fiber over natural fiber. What is that? Suppose if you burn a natural fiber, say cotton. Cotton is a natural fiber. And a nylon cloth. You can see the difference. So when you burn natural fiber and synthetic fiber, you can see the difference. So person who is actually working in an area which is prone to fire accidents. Suppose if the cloths catches fire. Suppose if we are used, that means if you actually wear that is cloth which is made by synthetic fibers, what happens? When that synthetic fiber melts, normally when synthetic fiber is burnt, it melts. So after melting, it sticks to the skin, and which can be disastrous. It can be disastrous for the person. It can cause, that is, skin burns. Severe skin burns can be caused due to the cloth itself. Whereas cloth which is made by natural fiber, it actually does not melt and it does not stick to the skin. So what is the disadvantage of that is synthetic fiber over natural fiber? So synthetic fiber, when it is burnt, it melts and it can stick to the skin of the person, and as a result it can be fatal. So that is the disadvantage of, that is, synthetic fiber over natural fiber. Okay. So these are the important points that to remember about synthetic fibers. See, like synthetic fibers, we are also using plastics. Okay. So now we are in the age of plastics. I think you have learnt about Stone Age. It is the period where stones are more frequently used for different purposes. Then as the civilization progressed, we came to, that is, Iron Age. So instead of stones, people started using metals and alloys. Iron Age, Bronze Age, like that different periods have been evolved over gradually. But now we can say that we are living in the age of plastics. So materials of plastics, they have been replaced. That means these plastic materials, they have replaced the materials which are made out of metals, then glass, porcelain and other materials. Now we are using more number of plastic materials compared to materials which are made out of metals or glass or porcelain. So why plastic materials are used more compared to other materials? See, the name plastic is given because it possesses plasticity. Okay. So how plastic materials are prepared? Plastic materials, they are prepared by heating. So on heating, that is, it will be get converted into molten state, and in that molten state it possesses plasticity, and as a result it can be molded into any desired shape easily. So in molten state, plastic can be molded into any desired shape easily. So since it possesses elasticity in molten state, it was given the name plastic. Okay. So that is one. So what are plastics? Already we have discussed chemical composition of fibers. See, like fibers, plastics, they are also polymers. So like fibers, plastics, they are also polymers. So plastics are the polymers which possess plasticity in molten state and can be molded into any desired shape easily. So what are plastics? If question is asked, so we can write plastics are polymers and which possess plasticity in molten state and can be molded into any desired shape easily. Okay. So when we say polymers, they are big molecules which are formed by repeated joining of smaller units called monomers. Let us take some examples of plastics. So most common example for plastic is polythene. I think all of you have seen polythene cover, plastic cover. See, for everything we go and ask for plastic cover. Whenever we go to a stationery shop or a vegetable shop or a fruit shop, after purchasing, normally we ask for plastic bag. See, that plastic bag is nothing but actually polythene. Okay. So how polythene is prepared? Polythene is prepared starting from ethene. So when ethene is subjected to chemical reaction, we get polythene. So many ethene molecules, they combine with one another and it forms a big molecule called polythene. Similarly, second example, PVC. So most of you have heard about PVC pipe. Okay, so what is actually PVC? PVC full form is polyvinyl chloride. So how PVC is prepared? PVC is prepared starting from vinyl chloride. So when vinyl chloride is subjected to chemical reaction, many vinyl chloride molecules, they unite with one another to form polyvinyl chloride. Okay. So monomer for polythene is ethene. Monomer for PVC is vinyl chloride. Similarly, one more important example for plastic. It is Teflon. I think you might have heard about non-stick cookwares. Dosa, tawa or the cooking utensils which actually contain Teflon coating. So food items will not stick. So that Teflon actually it is a plastic. So how Teflon is prepared? Teflon is prepared from tetrafluoroethene. So when tetrafluoroethene is subjected to chemical reaction, these units combine with one another to form, that is Teflon. Similarly, one more example for plastic is Bakelite. All of you have seen handles, that is cooking utensils handle, iron box handle, cooking utensil handle, electrical switches, all those are made up of a special type of plastic called bakelite. Okay, and similarly, another important example for plastics, it is melamine. So you might have seen that firefighters, they use special type of cloth, fire resistant cloth they will use. See that fire resistant cloth, it is prepared from melamine. Similarly, kitchen floors, they are also actually that means for kitchen floors the material used will be melamine. Similarly, that is the screens which are used in kitchen, they are also actually prepared from melamine because it is fire resistant material. Okay, see, these are all examples for different types of plastics. Very important is, in these plastics, the arrangement of small units, it is not same. See, in some plastics, the arrangement of small units, that is monomers, it will be in the form of a straight chain, which is called as linear arrangement. So in some plastics, the arrangement of small units, it will be in the form of a straight chain, which is called as linear arrangement. Whereas in some cases, the arrangement will be called as cross-linked. So in some plastics, the arrangement of small units will be in the form of straight chain, which is called as linear arrangement, and in some plastics, the arrangement of small units, it will be in the form of cross-linked. See, due to this difference in arrangement, it gives rise to different properties to plastics. For example, if you take some plastics and if you apply pressure, they bend easily. Similarly, if you take some plastic and if you apply pressure, what happens? It will not bend. It will not bend. Instead of that, it breaks. Okay. So that difference in properties, it is mainly due to difference in arrangement of constituent particles. So plastics which can be softened on heating and which bends on applying pressure, they are called as thermoplastics. So what are thermoplastics? Thermoplastics are those which soften on heating and they bend when pressure is applied. They will not break. Instead of that, they bend. Such plastics are called as thermoplastics, and thermoplastics can be recycled. That means they can be used again and again. So which are the examples for thermoplastics? Polythene, PVC, Teflon, they are all examples for thermoplastics. And similarly, another type of plastics, they are called as thermosetting plastics. So what is the difference between thermosetting plastics and thermoplastics? So thermosetting plastics, once they are molded, they cannot be reused again, and when pressure is applied, they will not bend, they break up. Okay, so such plastics, they are called as thermosetting plastics, and thermosetting plastics cannot be recycled. Very important. Thermoplastics can be recycled, thermosetting plastics cannot be recycled. Which are the examples for thermosetting plastics? Bakelite and melamine. So two examples you remember for thermosetting plastics, Bakelite and melamine. See, based on this in examination, always you can expect question, that is about thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay, so one important difference between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Thermoplastics can be recycled, whereas thermosetting plastics cannot be recycled. Thermoplastics, they soften on heating and they can be bent easily. Thermosetting plastics, that means once they are molded, when heated they become irreversibly hard, and on applying pressure they will not bend, instead of that they breaks down. So examples you remember for both thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. And we know that even though plastics, they have many advantages. For example, plastics are non-reactive. Why actually we use more number of plastic materials compared to materials made out of, that is glass, wood or metals or porcelain? Because of some special properties. What are the special properties of plastics? Plastics are non-reactive, they are non-corrosive. So we can keep any type of materials in plastics. For example, you cannot keep pickles in metal container. What happens? Chemical reaction takes place and as a result food poisoning can happen. Similarly, glass, it may break down very easily. So similarly, porcelain, that can also break down easily. And in addition to that, metal, wood or porcelain or glass, their cost is more compared to plastics. Okay, plastics are cost effective. See, plastics, they do not react with components of air, whereas materials made out of metals, they can react with components of, that is air. Okay, that is one. Similarly, plastics, they are more durable, light and strong, whereas if you take materials made out of other things like glass, what happens, or porcelain, that means they are not strong, that is durable and lightweight. Metals, they are heavier. Glass, not durable. Porcelain, not durable. And similarly, plastics are poor conductors of heat and electricity, and because of that also they are used for different purposes. For example, if you take metals, they are good conductors of heat and electricity, but plastics are not good conductors of heat and electricity. I think you might have seen cooking utensils. Handle is made up of plastics. Iron box handle is made up of plastics. Screwdriver handle is made up of plastics. Wires, they are covered with plastic layers. So plastics can act like insulators. So that is also one advantage of using plastics. So if question is asked why plastics have replaced the materials made out of wood, glass, metal or porcelain, because of all these special properties. Even though plastics are having all these special properties, there are some disadvantages of using plastics. What is the disadvantage? We know that plastics are non-biodegradable. See, materials can be classified into two types: biodegradable, non-biodegradable. For example, paper is biodegradable, cotton cloth is biodegradable, then peels of vegetables, biodegradable, food which is left over is biodegradable. See, materials which are obtained from plant or animal origin, they are biodegradable. So what are biodegradable materials? Materials which decompose through natural processes by the action of microbes, they are called as biodegradable. Whereas plastics, metals, glass, they are non-biodegradable. That means they are not decomposed naturally by the action of microorganisms. So presence of non-biodegradable substances in the environment, it can cause pollution. See, metals and glass can be recycled very easily. So to some extent, plastics can also be recycled. But thermosetting plastics, if you take, they cannot be recycled. So waste plastics that remain in the environment, they cause pollution. So both soil pollution, water pollution and air pollution, it is caused due to usage, that means usage of plastics nowadays. That's why in many states, districts, the administration has banned the use of plastics. See, if you burn plastics, it produces poisonous gases and that can result in air pollution. And similarly, if we throw waste plastic materials to the surroundings, they remain in the soil for a long time. So for the decomposition of plastics, hundreds of years are required. Okay, so for that period they remain in the soil and they can decrease the fertility of the soil, and also percolation of water cannot happen easily. So soil pollution will be caused. And similarly water pollution. And sometimes the aquatic animals which are present in water, aquatic animals, they can consume these plastic waste and that can lead to death of aquatic animals also. So that is why we should try to use, that means we should try to minimize the use of plastics. See, in order to minimize the use of plastics, you have to remember that is 4 R's. So what are 4 R's? One is reduce, reuse, recycle and recover. So by using 4 R's, it is possible to minimize the environmental pollution which is caused by plastics. Okay, so remember about 4 R's which can reduce environmental pollution. So these are some important points you have to know about synthetic fibers and plastics. Thank you.